What is absolutely worth paying someone else to do? Movers. After a certain age, beer and food isn't enough to help move everything from one home to another. Totally. When I move, I make sure there's a lease overlap of at least a week. Spend 6 days with a van or big car taking boxes and smaller stuff over, then pay some people to move the big and heavy stuff. If they're only moving several pieces of furniture, it's quick and cheap. If you're hiring quality movers, they're putting any furniture that needed to be taken apart back together again on the other end. Unpacking is also generally not all that expensive to pay them to do compared to all the other costs in your move. Don't forget organizing utilities. As someone who has spent many years in call centers for telco and energy companies, you want to book your connections and disconnections weeks in advance to allow for error, and also leave that overlap. I took 2 extra days off work after our last move, foolishly thinking I'd get everything unpacked. 6 years in the house and we still have boxes in the basement that haven't been put away. We have stuff from our first move that's still in boxes, from the apartment we lived in together when we were in our 20s. We have a house and kids now. Why do we still have those boxes? Pure insanity. A thing I would definitely do if I ever become rich is when a friend asks me to help them move, say yes and send in a professional moving company in my place. I'll be at home having beer and pizza. Even better, hire a professional moving company, go to your friend's new place and make it an all-you-can-eat pizza and beer for your friend, the people helping them move, the movers and you. I like your style. If you don't mind, I would like to enthusiastically copy this idea. Anything that involves crawling under the house. Or in the roof. I just spent all day putting insulation in the attic of my workshop. I'm glad it is almost done, but I almost wish I'd paid someone to do it for me. The only reason I didn't was that I put in a bunch of reinforcing to support a small ceiling hoist and it had to be cut and fitted in a ton of places. I just hope it lowers my electric bill out there enough to make it worth the effort. My dad was a self-employed plumber. He did well. If he recognized the location might be a trailer, he flat out refused the work. I once answered a help wanted ad offering a bunch of money. It was for a mobile home repo service, and the owner needed someone to crawl under the trailers and use bottle jacks to get the thing off the ground and ready to be moved. As an older and wiser man, my advice is if you ever find yourself crawling under an abandoned trailer in Georgia in the summer, crawl the hell right back out. Amen. I spent a good portion of my childhood in GA and encountered many horrors. The worst one being a cottonmouth I caught with my bare hands at age 6. I didn't know that I should be afraid, so I wasn't. I brought it home to show my dad, who very slowly and carefully removed it from my chubby little baby hand and yeeted it a country mile from the porch. Dog nails and anal gland expression. My dog had a bad experience once and now he won't let anyone get close to his nails. His feet are fine, but once you go for nails all hell breaks loose. My dog's a rescue and is freaked out by a lot of things, nail trimming included. The doggy daycare we took her to suggested we try a scratching pad to file her nails. About once a month or so, I sit down with it and a pile of treats, and while she scratches, I give her treats. Works great! I work with dogs and nail grinding or clipping is something I do regularly. I really wonder just how bad an experience and what happened that causes such terror of getting nails trimmed. I've hit some quicks, not many. The dogs barely reacted and were fine for rest and future visits. Few tips to desensitize dog to nail trims. Frequently manipulate your pet's paws with fingers for as long as the dog reasonably allows it. If it gets agitated or stressed, stop. Try again later. Get clippers and/or grinders to set near pets so it can become accustomed to it. Once it seems relaxed with the tool sitting still, start to rub it on pet against fur and paws. Again, if pet gets stressed, take stop, try again another time. Electric toothbrush motors sound similar to grinder motors, so run one near pet to desensitize to the sound. Give treats and praise throughout these processes so pet will associate them with a good experience. Clip small amounts of nails as long as pet isn't stressed too much. Stop when it gets stressed. The goal here is to start small and do more and more over time until the dog allows all nails trimmed. Roofing. I was looking for this. My dad retired a couple years ago and he had a list of things he wanted to accomplish. A new roof was one of those things. I love him to death, but he is one of those guys who never wants to spend money on something he can do himself. But by himself he thought I was going to take off work for a week and my cousin and uncle were going to take off work to help him take off the old shingles and put in the new ones. It ended up taking like 2 weeks to finish, in the heat, and I was like, just pay a company the money and this could take in a crew of professionals, a day maybe 2. I mean, I don't even work construction or anything. I am freaking librarian. I didn't know how to shingle a roof and my cousin is an accountant. It sucked. If I ever have a house I need to replace a roof on, it will absolutely be worth the money to pay a pro. The funny thing is that I am in construction, but when I needed a new roof I hired someone. My roof had 3 layers of old shingles that all needed to be stripped. I hired a roofer. I wound up needing a bunch of sheathing, which brought the price up and wound up costing me just over $9,000. They started around 8-ish in the morning and were 100% done by around 5 p.m. Totally worth it to not have the headache. I'm also sure that we messed something up somewhere and the new roof will not last as long as the old one did. Oh well. What's done is done now. At least he learned his lesson when my parents decided to replace their old carpet with wood floors. Oh wait, no he didn't, and now 1 year later those floors are still not completely put in. LOL. It's insane how fast they are. It really was. I couldn't believe how fast they got done. And it only took 4 guys. 3 on the roof and 1 on the ground. Maids. I rent and my landlord started charging us $50 for a maid service every other week. A lot of friends try telling me it's a waste of money, but their house is normally dirtier than mine and they have a cleaning day. $50 is hella cheap. You don't want to know what I pay every week. If it's an apartment complex, I feel like there's gotta be some sort of wholesale deal involved, 'cause now you've got a maid on the clock instead of driving. Either way, a great deal for a landlord who essentially has a tenant-subsidized employee inspecting units twice a month. Drywall work. Especially mud and tape. Professionals make it look like sorcery. I make it look like 2 weeks of mud / sand / mud / sand / mud / 6-pack / sand / whiskey / screw it / paint. Once you figure out that the trick is to not try so hard. Less is more. If you have quality trowels, use very little mud between coats and feather out wider each application. You shouldn't have to sand much off at all between coats, leave the sanding for the very end when again shouldn't be much. If you have large lifts between coats, you just slice them off with the trowel. It's basically approaching it like a teenager doing minimal effort when working on their chores. Find and do all the shortcuts, you will realize this is the best way and gives you the best results. That also the types of mud, there are so many options, but basically green is for your first coat or 2, blue, lightweight, is going to be the last, and touch up where you will be sanding. Paper tape for factory joints, mesh for butt joints and repairs. Lastly, most important. If you cannot figure it out and don't want to do it, pay someone else. It's that easy. Really anything that you value your own time too much to do. Almost everything we buy is us paying someone else to do that thing for us. There was a guy who made a chicken sandwich completely by himself, growing wheat and making bread, raising the chicken and slaughtering it. Apparently it wasn't that good or worth the effort. I think he actually cheated a little and he didn't raise it, just killed it, the chicken. Also, the guy's culinary skills were def lacking, especially the bread making. I respect the effort, he just kinda botched the final execution. This is how I look at it. We have someone clean our pool every week, do our landscaping once a month, and a cleaning service come monthly as well. I can do all those things, but it would take me most of a weekend day per month to do it all. I value my time way more than I value my money. Of course, I'm extremely privileged to be able to afford all of that. Not everyone is able to do so, and I wasn't until somewhat recently, but as I get older I value my free time so much more than I used to. Landscaping. My God, I hate pulling weeds and trimming an overgrown garden. With my allergies and sensitive skin, it's even more of a disaster. Dude, yeah, but I'm the opposite. I love pulling weeds and clearing out overgrown areas. It just feels right. I have no allergies, and even though I'm English and Irish, I never get sunburned, even here in South Texas. I'm so glad people will pay me to do it. I love pulling weeds too. It's very meditative. I have to be careful cause I'm wicked allergic to poison ivy and oak, I just found out. However, I love taking that time for myself and just getting in the zone. I'll cut vines and make stuff out of them, rake up leaves. It gives me the same feeling going for a walk does or being in the woods. I think business accounting. How are this and legal representation not the number 1 and number 2 answers? I agree, I prob wouldn't want to do my own major plumbing or electrical projects, but I will and have done plenty of minor stuff. Wouldn't consider for 1 minute trying to represent myself in court or handle major accounting stuff for my business. I keep the books and payroll, etc., but when it comes tax time I'd pay half my salary to not do that. Amen. My accountant charges $140 HR, and if she keeps me out of trouble with the IRS, I'm happy to pay it. Anything that, without proper training, endangers your safety or assets, electricity, garage springs, repairing still functional machinery, unless repair or buying new evens out, and so on. For anything else, I've learned to consider more if I'd be willing to pay X amount to have Y hours I would spend doing this of free time. Or if I would find the amount of money saved an acceptable payment for my time. E.g., I once paid someone $100 to paint my smallish, empty flat. It would have taken me 2 to 4 hours, likely rather 4 than 2. And I would have had to time it into the few days I was in that city, which were only weekends at that time. So, saving half a weekend felt like a really good deal. Please like and subscribe for more daily content.